Well, hello to you. It's great to see you, and I do hope that you are well. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Kirk, welcoming you up here to Weir Yard, where today we're going to be taking a look at something just a little bit American. You might remember that we reviewed some tank cars that came from the company then called American Limited, and now are trading under the name of Roka Prototype Models. They also sent us some of the Safe-Pak auto carriers, and they really were an incredibly detailed model. Well, they've followed these up with another run of the tank cars, and they very kindly sent over examples of 4 of these to the channel. Now, these new liveries include some really quite interesting firefighting train tank cars, and this was a purpose that a lot of these tank cars got pressed into after they'd fallen out of frontline service, and were used for carrying water to remote locations to allow the railroad companies to fight wildfires as and when they turned up. Often these locations could be quite literally in the middle of nowhere, with no actual water supply, and with a lot of wooden infrastructure like trestle bridges and such like. It was really important to keep on top of any developing disaster, so these tank cars were perfect for getting the water out to where it was needed. Now, these tank cars aren't just a re-livery. They do carry authentic liveries, but they also include some of the adaptations that were made to these tank cars to enable them to be used for the firefighting, namely extra pipework and the big reels of firefighting hoses and the ancillary equipment that was necessary to give pressure to the lines to allow the firefighters to get the job done. And this is a really interesting addition to the range of tank cars. Roka Prototype Models have also introduced some of the really quite colourful earlier liveries as well, providing for these tank cars from their inception in the early 1950s right through to the present day. And one of the tank cars that they've sent over is of a very colourful livery indeed, and it's really interesting to look at the subtle detail differences between the newer versions and the older versions, as Roka have tooled up for all of these subtle differences as changes were made to the tank cars throughout their very long lifespans. But that's not all. Roka have also done a couple of special models. These are their Safe-Pak auto carriers, but they've got something just a little bit different on the side. Well, it's Homer Simpson. This is a photograph actually that has been doing the rounds on the internet of some graffiti on one of these real auto carriers over in the States, and it's really captured the imagination of a lot of people, not least the proprietor of Roka Prototype Models, who's taken it upon himself to actually produce 2 special versions of these wagons, including this graffiti, but also a few super special bespoke touches, and we'll take a look at those as we go through the video. Now, don't forget we've got a link down below which takes you to Rails of Sheffield, which carry stocks of the previous runs of these tank cars under the American Limited branding, and they are also able to get hold of stocks of any of the wagons that you see featured today if they really do take your fancy. So follow the link down below and see what they've got for you. As we go through this video, if you really do enjoy what you see, don't forget to tickle that like button, share this video and subscribe to the channel to be the first to know about new videos as and when they go up. We've also got our Monday Club badges and all of the merch that you know and love available from the links down below. And we've also got a link to Roka Prototype Models' actual website too, where you can buy direct from them. And certainly if you're in the United States, then that is probably the best option to be able to browse the full range at the best prices. But let's get on and take a look at these models. I was very impressed with the previous production runs, so it's really interesting to see just what they've done for making these later versions suitable for the firefighting trains. Today's video comes in association with Trainomatic, makers of DCT decoders and accessories that are designed by enthusiasts for enthusiasts. Find the full range available to order now at tramfabriek.co.uk. Additional support comes from...
This is Clark Railworks, and this is what we do. You'll know us from Ellis Clark Trains, and you'll get the same friendly expertise with us too. We've got a huge range of pre-owned model railways from all your favourite manufacturers, and maybe some you hadn't heard of before. It's the place to come for quality. We don't stock substandard models, and everything we sell is fully tested and photographed by model railway experts. No matter whether you model OO gauge, N, HO or more, we have sought after models from all around the world with new listings added every weekday. Check out what's available now at clarkrailworks.com and don't miss out on your latest logo.
It's not often on the channel that we deal with US outline stuff, being a UK based channel. This is perhaps a little bit more niche this side of the Atlantic, but certainly when you go over to the US, this is the kind of stuff that you're going to see far, far more than UK outline rolling stock, which is very much in the minority in shops in the US. Now, Roka Prototype Models very kindly sent a whole selection of their GATC 16,000 gallon tank cars to the channel, which we reviewed probably a couple of years ago now, and by popular demand they've now done another production run of these. Now, I know that Rails of Sheffield did carry stocks of the previous run, and I would guess that that would mean that if these are available in the UK, then Rails of Sheffield are likely to be your first stop for those. We're going to have an affiliate link down below just to help you find certainly the previous production run if they've got any left. And if they do get these in stock, they can get these in stock. So if you do like what you see, then do speak to Rails of Sheffield, tell them that I sent you, and they do have a means to get any of these into stock. Now, the new livery options that Roka have gone for do seem to major heavily on two different types of these tank cars. We've got some of what appear to be the much earlier liveries, but also we've got the firefighting tank cars, and this was something that the railroads, particularly in some of the more remote parts of the United States where wildfires during the summer months can be quite common, the railroad companies found that they needed a firefighting train to be able to protect the infrastructure. Now, there's a lot of timber used for things like wooden trestle bridges, but also some of the tunnels as well are shored up using timber rather than the construction methods that we're used to here in the UK. So having a means to get a lot of water and hoses and firefighting personnel out to these remote locations is very, very important. And it's these later uses of the 16,000 gallon tank cars that Roka Prototype Models has provided for in this current production run. Now, they include more than just a re-livery. There's also extra detail parts to give you the hoses and other ancillary equipment that would have, on the prototypes, enabled the firefighters to access the water in the tank cars and use it to both put out fires but also to protect infrastructure. Now, they've very kindly sent over 4 examples from this new production run. There are more liveries available, and certainly if we look down the side of the box, we get some nice artwork representation of some of the other liveries that are available. And when I go and have a look at their website, again, we've got a link down below to help you find these. There is quite a good range of different liveries available. Now, I'm going to actually start with the more regular version of these tank cars because I want to be able to compare this to the firefighting water cars that they've also sent. So I've got a catalogue number here of RPM 178, and this is the GATC tank car in the CGW oxide red with yellow, dome band car number 257. And this is for the Chicago Great Western Railway. Interesting to see it called a railway rather than railroad. That's certainly something that I wasn't expecting. Again, we've got a nice line drawing of the tank car on the back. I'm just going to slide that out. And then we just got a fairly regular clamshell type packaging inside. It's a very interesting colour scheme. I must admit, I quite like some of these, what I assume are older colour schemes for these tank cars. Certainly, these are probably some of the most long-lasting of tank cars that ran in the US. So with the different livery options available, then they're suitable for a whole host of different eras of railroads. One of the things that's very apparent with these is that there's a really good amount of weight, and it does feel like it's quite low down. We've got a die-cast chassis underneath there, and I think that's how Roka have managed to get such a large amount of low-down weight on these wagons. When it comes to running on the layout, they're very, very free running. Certainly you can make up some incredibly long trains, and they're just completely unfazed. They get round without any issues whatsoever. They're some of the most free running wagons that I've actually had here on Weir Yard. Now we've also got here some additional detail parts. They give you 4 of these in a little bag, and these appear to be spares for the ends of the axle boxes. These do rotate as per the prototype, and we've seen that in the UK, and people made a lot of noise about the Hatton's Class 66 with the accurate rotating axle boxes. But we're getting these here on the Roka prototype models as standard, and they really do look quite nice, and the extras that they give you are actually coloured to match the truck cars here on this prototype. They actually look perhaps a little bit too clean, moulded out of the box, and this is something that I think a light dusting of brake dust would really bring out some of these models. So certainly out of the box they all come clean, but weathering is something that really does make these come alive. You can see there we've got the Chicago Great Western Railway, the branding on the side. Again, it's strange to see the word railway on US outline freight cars, but there it is. We've got CGW 257, and then we've got the capacity and such like all printed on there, and it's actually a stencil font as per the prototype. OEL, that looks to be some kind of maintenance date, 6th 65. So that would put this as being a 1960s liveried tank car. Again, we've got some extra printing as we go further along to this end. You can just make out all the different bits on there. We've got a build date of 1955, January 1955, I think that is. So this would probably be one of the earlier liveries of these tank cars. There's a wealth of detail. I do like these kind of walkways which run around the tank car. These appear to be etched brass that's then really nicely painted. We've got a lot of detail you can see right through those. It really does look great. We've also got the handrail around, and this is nicely secured to the tank car. I think we've got metal eyelets and brass wire for the handrails, which does make them slightly springy. They will take a few knocks, but incredibly robust. They come fitted with KD knuckle style couplings as standard, and these are actually very, very prototypical for US outline stock, maybe much less so for UK stuff, although much newer rolling stock does appear to use these in the UK, so they would be perfectly prototypical for the more modern image. I like the big domes on these. They're a very, very large dome that they have up here. We've got a ladder on the side. Again, it feels, I'm not sure whether that's plastic, certainly there's a lot of spring in it, or it could well be metal, but there's a lot of detail being held in the actual structure of that ladder. And then we've got the etched walkways again on brackets further up. These would have been for staff to be able to access for filling and unloading. I'm guessing that these would have had a bottom discharge, and that may well be what some of these features down here at the bottom are. But you would still need to crack the lid. It's something when you unload these tank cars, you have to make sure that they can have a source of air get back into the tank cars, otherwise they will ultimately implode themselves. There's an episode of Mythbusters where they actually show just what happens, and they implode a tank car, not unlike these. It's really quite incredible to watch. Underneath, we've got the full braking system is modelled. There's a lot of pipe work, and we've got also all the activating cylinders and what appears to be some kind of handbrake down here, or at least some means whereby I guess the air can be evacuated by the pull of a lever. All of this mechanism includes a lot of the linkage, the expansion loops and such like. Really is a lot of fine detail. We've got additional printing there on the single frame that goes across the centre of the car. And the wheels on these trucks are fully metal. We've got that kind of dished shape front and back. Again, these would really come alive with a dusting of rust and brake powders, in my opinion. It's a really lovely tank car, and I'm going to move on now to some of the others that have been sent over. Today's video is sponsored by TMC, the Model Centre, your first choice for finding all of the models featured today at the best possible price at the link in the description. TMC also offers custom weathering and renumbering to any model, be it brand new or pre-owned. Check out their full pre-owned listings too, where you can be assured of quality as every item is screened and graded by professional staff. TMC, the Model Centre, your first choice for all aspects of modelling. These are the firefighting cars. So we've got RPM 192. This is a Burlington Northern. I do love the fact that they've got the actual livery emblems of the operating railroads on the end here. This is the Seattle Fire Car with hose, Burlington Northern, number 973371. So again, really easy to get these out of the box. We've got those additional spares for the axle box covers that rotate. Again, these are colour matched to the model in the packaging. And this white livery, again, really quite striking. I think a dusting over of brake dust would really bring some of this alive. And we've got those rotating axle box ends. A lot of really quite sharp printing. The white really doesn't take any prisoners, so it's really nice to see. And there's a lot of different detail on here. If I show you compared to the very early livery, with that we got the walkways all the way round. The walkways are gone by the time we get to this period of history. I'm guessing they were deemed to be dangerous. You didn't really want people hitching a lift. But we've still got the mounting points, which would still be there on these tank cars, because these would be the original tank barrels. I do like all of the strapping over the top. You can see there all of the detail on that would have held this tank barrel down and in place. And we've got authentic different detail going on here. The brake rigging underneath and the manifolds for that all appear to be the same. But we've also got what appear to be slightly different designs of what would have taken the warning labels for what would be being carried in these tank cars. And they seem to be a different design for the earlier to the later. But where things do get quite different is when we turn this around, and you can see that we've got modelled all of this fire hose equipment on the side, and that really is quite nice with a lot of separately picked out parts. We've got the reel for the hose, we've got what appears to be some kind of a pump going to the hose, and I'm guessing that there'd be some kind of pump mechanism in here, be it either battery operated or probably a very small petrol engine that would allow it to build up pressure, because not only would firefighters need to be able to get under the track to fight fires on, say, wooden trestles, but you could imagine needing to get up onto the hillside as well to stop the spread of fire, so you'd need some kind of a pressure on the water. Again, we've got all of that top tank filler. It really is quite a large piece. It really does stand out, and you can see there we've got a lot of separately fitted detail. There's a lot of metal parts. These handrails are all metal, and we've got the tank lid with all of its multiple bolt fastening down points. Again, more little handrails on there. I'm just going to compare across. And yeah, they appear to be exactly the same design on those between the different eras of tank cars, but we do have a different access ladder. On these, they go all the way down to the ground and then hook back up with that reinforcement. It really is nice and well done. I'm just going to compare as well the ends of the tanks. We've got additional handrails on the ends of the newer ones, which aren't there on the older ones. There's a lot of different variety that Roka have tooled up to be able to deliver. Now, the next one that they've sent is RPM 164, and this is the Montana Division fire car for the ATSF/BNSF. We've got the logo there, the BNSF Railway. Montana, of course, Billings, Montana, is where Roka prototype models are based. And for those Star Trek fans out there, that's not that far from Bozeman, which is where Star Trek First Contact takes place.
Hello, explorers, and welcome to the 21st century.
So again, this is the firefighting version. It's a very, very red design. Just looking in there, we don't appear to have spare axle box covers on these, but they're very, very firmly fitted. I don't think there's any real risk of these coming off. It's not like the Hatton 66, which seemed to shed them just for fun. And with this, we've got, again, authentic livery. This really is quite striking. We've got the black underside, which it probably hides a little bit of the detail. I do quite like it, but you can't quite see the detail to the same extent as you can with some of these others. This is pretty much the same design as the white car. I didn't mention with the other tank cars, but we've got the brake hoses in position. I'm just going to compare that. And yeah, they do seem to be the same design on the brake hoses as what the tank cars would have had from new. We've got the different design of the end walkways with the handrails. The handrails along the side, again, gone on this version. And we've got all of that wealth of detail for the firefighting equipment down the side. Now, the final tank car that they've sent is much more reminiscent to the versions that they did in the first run, with the Santa Fe branding and the blank tank barrel. RPM 186. This is the GATC tank car water fire service with hose for the ATSF Santa Fe. And these are actually really quite interesting. I'm guessing when these were first pressed into service, and we do have those extra spares there in this particular one, I'm guessing that they just took them out of service and they just stenciled on the water car fire service, the domestic water, on what was the existing livery. So this is much more like the versions that they did in the last batch. I actually really quite like this livery with the Santa Fe branding on the side. Again, we've got all the same level of detail as we saw on the white tank car. I think the white tank car shows off the detail a lot better. It's just a quirk of the livery more than anything else. There's a lot more going on with the actual livery application on this. You can see there the stencil font really is crisp and sharp. And there's a lot of different writing on the side, which I'm struggling to actually view, but I've got every faith that when we look with a macro lens, that really is going to come alive. Also really interesting on this, as you can see there, capacity 154,000 pounds, and then next to it says 69,854 kilograms. Now, I don't know whether these worked up into somewhere such as, let's see, Santa Fe, that would be California, but would they have worked down into parts of northern Mexico, or would they have worked up into parts of Canada? I'm not sure. But it's again unusual to see branding there in metric. I thought the Americans were allergic to metric. Then we've got gallons, 16,110 on the end, and it really is quite a nice livery option. And I do love the brake rigging underneath. But this extra equipment that's been added to these really is quite fine and gives an option to have a firefighting train on your layout for the end of the career of these water tank cars. Now, I believe that there may well even still be some of these in use, no longer for the original chemical and petrochemical traffic flows, but certainly as water cars for the fire service. I could imagine that some of these would have stayed in service for a very long time. One of the other models that we've reviewed from Roka prototype models has been the Safe-Pak auto racks. These are an absolutely huge model, but Roka have actually very kindly sent over these customized versions. There's been a photograph that's been circulating for quite some time online of this graffiti pretty much on the side of one of these, and there's been a lot of discussion about it. It's very, very eye-catching, and whilst a lot of people might not agree with the vandalism of graffitiing, you do have to admit that when a graffiti artist makes this kind of effort, it does really look smart, and there's no getting away from it. In the modern scene, graffiti is a part of our everyday lives. And as almost a very large blank canvas, these wagons would have been very much a target for that. Now, I'll get told off for calling them a wagon. Wagon is the UK terminology. These are very much cars. Now, these were used for transporting automobiles from where they were built en masse. There's a lot of capacity in one of these. Now, US cars are very big, but certainly these are absolute leviathans of the US scene. If you're interested in these, actually I can't find, they don't appear to have any model numbers on. I think what they've actually done is they've made custom models specifically for the channel, which I'm really quite blown away with these. And yeah, they are definitely custom, because the JK logo and when empty, return to Weir Yard Agent Jennifer Kirk is definitely not something which I think would be in the main range. Now, I have talked to Dr. Robert Steers, who together with his wife is the driving force between Roka prototype models, and these are apparently custom transfers. And I must admit, I really struggle to see the edges of these. These are the best transfers I have ever seen. It's an incredible application, not least when you think every single one of these holes has had to be poked back through, and that's certainly something that is not for the faint of heart. And we've got extra branding there. I can just about make out Weir Yard, something Railway Equipment Trust, Lloyd's First Trust Company, Bolton, Lancashire, England, owner, and I just can't read it. That is so tiny, and I really am impressed by these transfers. We've got the JK logo up there, but if we go to the other side, sleeping car, I love that. And then we got Bart Simpson. The Weir Yard branding on there. This is really quite incredible. They've also sent a second one, so I'm really quite blown away by these. These are absolutely incredible. If you're wanting one of these, then you're going to have to speak to Roka prototype models, and I don't know how much these would be if you could persuade them to produce more. But this is it, loaded with the Vista wagon, I believe these were called. You might recognise these cars from the National Lampoon's Vacation. This is the family truckster, was based around these models. We get 4 along one of these wagons, and then we've got an additional 2 decks, and you can see there's I recognise those tail lights. Yeah, that's a Cadillac. And what have we got there? I'm not sure what that is. That's some kind of Chevrolet. So normally I think these would be the same manufacturer of automobiles, but obviously the colours could vary because they'd come from the same auto plant. But just looking at this second one, we've got the same transfer application. Again, a lot of work's gone into poking through all of these little holes. We did comment on these. You can see those cars through the holes. It's one of the real highlights of the Safe-Pak auto racks from Roka prototype models. At the other end, I think they're the same as on the other ones. We've got the JK logo as well. On the other side, we've got Weir Yard and Sleeping Car in different locations, and the JK logo on Bart Simpson there. Yeah, eat my shorts.
Okay. Shorts.
Then we've got some additional branding here at the end. I think that's even more of the same that we saw on the other, but these are absolutely exquisite. So these are going to take pride of place. I'm going to put these in a display cabinet. They really are absolutely incredible. So a huge thank you to Robert Steers at Roka Prototype Models for doing these. He did hint that he was going to do some, but this is absolutely incredible, and maybe we'll try and take these on tour when we go to exhibitions. I think these are definitely something that deserve to be seen at large, but that is just incredible. A huge thank you to Roka Prototype Models for sending these out. Well, there you have it. I really actually quite like these models. I've got a secret love for US Outline, and these very much are high quality models at affordable prices. For anybody who's wanting to model the US railroad scene, these are an absolute must, because some of the earlier liveries, well, we're looking at dates on some of these wagons of about 1953 for build dates. So these really are suitable for quite a wide range of modelers. So you could imagine that these would get to some really quite far-flung places all over the US, so there's always space for these on your team tracks of your layouts. I really do like the different detail options, not just those firefighting trains, but the actual level of the detail of those hose reels and the extra pipework is quite sublime. But also the earlier tank cars too, and it's quite interesting to compare some of the detail differences that Roka have been able to tool up on these tank cars, such that everyone has its own peculiar quirks that are totally faithful to the prototypes. But I'd love to hear from you in the comments section down below. What do you think of these? Does it make you really quite interested in US Outline stuff? Certainly looking at some of the videos on YouTube from some of the content creators such as Jawtooth and others, there really is some amazing inspiration out there for the US railroad scene. And you could just imagine a couple of these tank cars being trundled down the centre of Schuyler Street in Utica, New York State, just being tripped to a customer somewhere down that short line railroad. Really, the possibilities are quite endless. You don't need vast amounts of space for a US Outline layout. Indeed, there's some really quite compact switching layouts that are totally authentic to what you can still find up and down the United States. Again, we've got the links down below that take you to Rails of Sheffield, where they carry in stock here in the UK some of the previous batch of these tank cars under the American Limited branding, and they're also able to get hold of any of the newer items that you might like to order for yourself. If you want to go down that route, just drop them a line and see what they can get for you. Alternatively, we've also got a link to Roka Prototype Models, where all of the different models are available to order, and they do ship worldwide. And if you're in the US, then obviously that's your first port of call. Please like, share and subscribe. Check out our full merch and also Monday Club badges to make sure that you can get those in-person shopping discounts. Support the retailers that support our hobby. But until next time, this is me, Kirk, saying you take great care of yourself and happy railroad modelling. Today's video comes in association with Trainomatic, makers of DCT decoders and accessories that are designed by enthusiasts for enthusiasts. Find the full range available to order now at tramfabriek.co.uk. Additional support is provided by...
This is Clark Railworks, and this is what we do. You'll know us from Ellis Clark Trains, and you'll get the same friendly expertise with us too. We've got a huge range of pre-owned model railways from all your favourite manufacturers, and maybe some you hadn't heard of before. It's the place to come for quality. We don't stock substandard models, and everything we sell is fully tested and photographed by model railway experts. No matter whether you model double-O gauge, N, HO or more, we have sought after models from all around the world with new listings added every weekday. Check out what's available now at clarkrailworks.com and don't miss out on your latest logo.
Today's video is sponsored by TMC, the Model Centre, your first choice for finding all of the models featured today at the best possible price at the link in the description. TMC also offers custom weathering and renumbering to any model, be it brand new or pre-owned. Check out their full pre-owned listings too, where you can be assured of quality as every item is screened and graded by professional staff. TMC, the Model Centre, your first choice for all aspects of modelling. I'd like to thank everybody over on Patreon, and an extra special huge thanks goes out to our Patreon heroes. Without you guys over on Patreon, we really wouldn't be able to keep making the video content that you see on this channel. And don't forget that you can also head on over to patreon.com/JenniferKirk and check out the different tiers of rewards. Thank you so much. You are absolute legends.